Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic show. This week in WordPress and SaaS. It's episode 927. We've got a regular guest, a friend of the show, but we always like him coming back because I found the discussions to be really interesting. We've got Devin Walker back in the house. He is by his LinkedIn title, he's SVP. I have no idea what that is. Chief Innovation Office at Stellar WP. I have no idea what that title is. But does Devin know what that title is? This is the point.
Well, I can clue you in on the SVP, that's Senior Vice President and Chief Innovation Officer. Well, we can get all into the innovating that I'm doing.
Yeah, the SVP was a brain fart for me, but I have not had enough coffee, obviously. We're going to be talking about product fit in the WordPress world, basically. I think Devin's got a lot of knowledge and practical experience in trying to get market fit. It's a tricky one, and discussing how that is discussed in Stellar WP. I think it's going to be an interesting discussion. So, Devin, would you like to quickly introduce yourself to the new listeners and viewers?
Sure. Yeah. So my name's Devin Walker. I'm in San Diego, California. I've been developing, designing, running businesses on WordPress since 2010 about. I first discovered it from going from Mambo to Joomla to Drupal from 08 to 09, and then like later 09 found WordPress, and then from there it's just been a great journey. And I was a founder of GiveWP. We sold that in 2021 to Liquid Web and Stellar WP, which is their software WordPress division or side of the company, whatever you want to call it. And I've been there ever since. I'm just really happy there. Really great people. And they got me those fancy titles, which you just mentioned. So
You can't beat fancy titles, can you? No. But it's been fascinating, your journey, because a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, and I think you've still got that in your DNA.
Oh yeah.
They don't do too well in a much larger organisation, but you seem to be a very adaptable individual. That's enough giving him praise, isn't it, Tribe? I have to go into my normal ways. Kurt, Kurt, would you like to introduce yourself to the new listeners and viewers?
Sure. Kurt Von Onen, own a company called Manana No Mas. We focus largely on membership and learning type websites. We also work directly with WP-Tonic and the great folks at Lifter LMS.
Thank you, Kurt. And before we go into this great interview, I've got a couple of messages from our major sponsors. We will be back in a few moments, folks.
Hi there, e-commerce store owner. At Omnisend, we help more than 100,000 e-commerce customers just like you sell their products. We're an all-in-one email and SMS marketing platform that helps you reach your customers, grow your audience, and increase sales. In fact, our customers have seen incredible results with Omnisend, averaging $72 in revenue for every single dollar spent. And if you ever have a question, our award-winning customer support team is available 24/7 every single day. That's one of the reasons we have more than 6,000 glowing reviews and ratings all across the web. So get started with Omnisend today and start growing your business with better email and SMS marketing.
We're coming back, folks. Want to point out we've got some great special offers from the major sponsors, plus a created list of the WordPress plugins and services. It's a great resource. You can get all these goodies by going over to wp-tonic.com/deals, wp-tonic.com/deals, and you find all the goodies there. All the free goodies. What more could you ask for, my beloved tribe? Probably a lot more, but that's all you're going to get from that page. I've got a history of disappointment. So let's go straight into it, Devin. He's caffeinated. He's
Just
ready for
about.
the interrogation. So let's go straight into it. So what have been some of the biggest challenges and lessons you think you've learnt with this journey with Stellar WP and Solid as well? I think we had a chat with Tom from Conversio last week, and I think there's a lot of hosting providers trying to find how they can find their niche in the WordPress space and offer more value. And I think everybody's going in different directions. And I think myself, and I'd be interested if you agree with this, Devin, and you thought about it yourself, it's all around market fit in some ways. Finding something that the audience really cares about, and it's not always as straightforward, is it? So, have you been thinking about this, and what's your own reflections on this, Devin?
Yeah, I mean, I literally flew back from the East Coast last night because we were just there talking about what we want to do more to push a product out and excuse me, and who the market is and how we create something compelling for them um, to make that buying decision. There's a lot of questions, not a whole lot of answers. You have to make bets. Some bets you really win. For GiveWP, for instance, like that was a very educated one over time that we just realized after building, 25 nonprofit sites and trying all sorts of different items to satisfy their fundraising needs, from Gravity Forms to WooCommerce to roll our own solutions. We just, that was kind of hit us over the head enough times, and we realized this is something we could really build here versus trying to bring something to the hosting market that's unique and offering something, because WordPress and hosting have been around for many years now, and trying to break into that market in a unique way is something we were just discussing quite a bit more. We have Liquid Web, we have Nexus, but we also have LearnDash Cloud too. And that was actually one of the data points we looked at a lot, because that's actually been doing pretty well for us. So all this, I'd say you need to have a lot of data to work with. And if you can't find it, make educated with ChatGPT and all this, you can really have a lot of, you can use a lot of those tools now, which wasn't the case 10 years ago. But yes, try to make the most informed decision as possible, right? And this is financially, who's going to be doing it, who are you offering whatever product for, and then, of course, build it in a really compelling and unique way. The design, the brand, the UI, UX, it all should really flow together well, and it should be really focused also. You really want to, use an arrow, not a shotgun blast, to provide this solution. And those are just some things that I've seen over the years. Focus is a big one. I remember last time on the show I was harping on and on about focus and how we tried to do too many things at once and most of them failed, versus really focusing on one thing, which was GiveWP. And once we realized that's what we should do, and we did that for multiple years, things really started to work out for us. And I think that's something that I've just held close, near and dear to me since then, since I've learned that lesson.
This is only my reflection around Stella, really. Obviously, a few years ago, probably more than a few years ago, there was a big movement around WordPress being a service. And then you had a couple of what I term kind of quasi-walled gardens, Five Themes and Architect, and a couple other product services kind of built a wall garden, all embracing WordPress solution. And then you had this movement around WordPress as a service and using multi-site as a key platform in that. And that didn't seem to really go as well as people were expecting. It was more trickier than people thought, because you could say you're getting the worst of both worlds. You're getting a quasar SaaS, but because of the way multi-site works, you're you're still getting all the elements of updating, security, blah blah blah, performance, but you're not getting the benefits. So you're getting the worst of both worlds. You're not getting the freedom. And you're saying that Learn Dash Cloud is doing quite well with you, but in this take Learn Dash Cloud, I'm a kind of quasar competitor in that space, but I do push Learn Dash. With that particular, can you install whatever plugins you want, or do you only have a
No, we don't.
certain group of plugins? How does it work, and how did you work that out internally? What you're going to offer?
Well, I mean, we have to be realistic on how much time we have to go to market, but we definitely do allow them to install whatever plugin they want. There's also, I mean, it is WordPress. We're not hiding it. We talked a lot about, do we want to make sort of like a friendlier admin? That's been tried at Liquid Web with some other products as well, not on the LearnDash side, a couple of years back, and we realized that when we try to lock down WordPress and hide WordPress or make it look different, first off, it's really hard to keep and maintain that over the years. You were just talking about websites as a service, or WAS. Remember
WAS,
WAS?
wasn't it?
Remember
It's still
WAS,
there,
bro?
but it was really pushed. Would you agree? It was really pushed, and it died down a bit, or would you not agree with that?
I would agree with that, and I think there was WAS.pro for a while, and that had a decent community, but I remember just the work that they had to do to make everything white label and make it work together, and still it would kind of fall apart in certain areas, and it was a struggle for them to support, maintain, and grow a business off of. And versus something like Laravel, which is like, here's a tools, go build it yourself. But it's much more developer friendly. So it gave a tool to like the point and click business entrepreneurs that didn't want to get dirty in the code, but wanted to start a business on, they don't care if it's WordPress. Well, some of them wanted WordPress, a lot of them didn't. They just wanted solutions to offer this to their customers or to future clients. And I've seen very few of those succeed.
You got any insights why it didn't succeed? Because I've got no answers for this, but I think a lot of people are kind of got a blindfold and they're moving around a room and they know whoever finds the gold is going to be quite successful. But I'm just going by gut feeling. Am I explaining myself reasonably?
Yeah. Well, are you saying from the business owner's perspective, like the one starting the WAS or the one offering the WAS tools?
Well, all of them. I think they're all doing a bit of a dance, aren't they?
Well, it goes back to like when you're trying to pair together 50 or 20 to 50 different plugins or themes or products, and also on top of that skinning WordPress, it's like trying to skin a hippo. It's not easy to do. It's hard to do, and you have to keep doing it over time. When a plugin goes from 2.0 to 3.0 and changes everything, that creates more work for your team. I'm talking from like the business owner's perspective. And if you want to standardize WordPress so it all looks to get like the same, whether you're going from Yoast to Gravity Forms, you're not going to succeed. That's an impossible thing to do over time, versus just accepting that it's WordPress. So that's one of the bigger lessons we learned, is like you don't really succeed too well when you try to hide WordPress for what it is.
So that was the crux of it. You seem to be saying that it was the attempt to hide that it was a diverse. You're offering a diverse plugin environment and trying to white label all those external buyer agency license, try and white label it to hide it from the users, and then try and present it as a SaaS, and it's not really. It's a hybrid. It's something different. Is that the crux of what you were trying to express to me?
Yeah, I think a term we use sometimes still is, we want to make WordPress easier, and so that the restaurant owner can use it similar to Squarespace or Wix. Like, we're always compared with that, right? The WordPress community is always looking at Shopify, WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, Weebly, some of these other ones, and we're asking ourselves, how can we make it easier like that? And my opinion on that is, you don't do that by locking things out and trying to make everything look uniform. There's other ways to do that, and it does take time and effort to learn these platforms, whether you are on Shopify or using WooCommerce, right? So you have to still understand that the user coming in fresh, like, if they're willing to do the learning process and they're willing to build it themselves, then we should be the ones providing them the materials, the course materials, the learning materials, or pointing them into the direction so that they can succeed on that. Because that's going to help reduce our churn rate, right? We don't want people to get frustrated, cancel, and move on. And so with GiveWP specifically, what we do is we have a phone number at the checkout. If you leave your phone number in there, of course you leave your email, we'll follow up with you with an email. But we have a whole dedicated customer success team that will jump on a call with you and help you with that first setup. And it's really helped with our churn rate and overall customer satisfaction and success rate. Like, we see more people not just...
Oh, we know all about that, David, because Kirk and my little team, that's exactly, well, we take it to a step higher than even you, David.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to hear about that.
Oh, no, you're going to have to pay me for that. Over to you, Kurt.
Well, I think, listening to Devin,
I'm a total mercenary at heart. That's why you love me, David. I'm a real pirate, aren't I? All right.
If I think about Devin's answer in that first question, there were a couple of things that you said, Devin, that just like made my head snap. Using an arrow instead of a shotgun. And then I think about, I've become friends with Pippin here in Kansas, right? So he's established some plugins. And then I think about the chocolate factory that Jonathan is very fond of. And then I think about, quite honestly, the
Willy Wonka and the chocolate factory.
I think about the purchasing power or the building power, the leverage power that a company the size of Liquid Web and Stellar have. And that's kind of takes us into question 2, right? So what are some of the most enormous opportunities for Stellar WP? But at the same time, going back to that first question, like, what's the challenge? If the whole internet was your oyster and you had the tools and the people and the staff to just leverage, like you said, a shotgun blast, I would imagine it's a blend of the challenge and the opportunity. How do you guys best isolate that? I mean, I know you said you got together and had a meeting about it yesterday, but how does that look? Like I got to rephrase it to make it make sense. You have all of us out here on X and developers and agencies, and we're all clamoring for different noise from all different angles. How do you guys find the arrow in the shotgun blast?
Well, like, a lot of the conversation is about the Stellar brand right now and making that more of that arrow, right? And right now, when you go to stellarwp.com, it's largely just an umbrella brand, and it is that shotgun blast. We're just talking about, we're a group of great people, which we are, of course, and we'll introduce you to some of our brand and the leadership team. It's really the main objective right now is to get good applicants in on our careers page, and we're trying to become more of a thought leader in the WordPress space with our Stellar Spark conference. But a lot of that isn't like a fine tune, like this is what we are and this is what we can offer you. And that's what I think we're going to be shifting to in the next 18 months. Like your question said, is like a much more refined brand. We are going to be rolling out a new brand refresh here at WordCamp US. We're going to have also sort of like sub brands, I want to call them, with like a Stripe like feel. Like I really look at Stripe and I really love what they offer. So what I've been working on is a solution called Stellar Pay. And that's one of the biggest opportunities I see in the next 18 months is capturing more of the payment revenue share market and really providing a unique tool for agency owners like yourself. So if you're building a WooCommerce site for a client and you want to cut a deal with them that says, hey, you know, I'll lower the initial fee for it, but I'll tack on 2% of every sale that you make on WooCommerce goes to my agency and we'll grow together and I'll be there for you. Right now, you don't really have a solution to do that. Well, that's what we've been building.
Well, unfortunately, Conversio announced that on the podcast last week. Definitely, they're doing exactly. But it's not that surprising because you're all very. I think you're one of the most intelligent individuals in the world.
That's just one of several other features. Yeah. So that's a good one. But I would like to hear what they're doing and how they're doing it better because I haven't seen too much of that. Is it built on Stripe? I'll have to go back and tune in on that one.
Yeah, you have to look what they've done, but it's not that surprising because I think you're all looking at the same analytical data and you're all driven by business logic. So,
well, I mean, we were one of the first to do this rev share solution with PayPal with Stripe back in 2017. I remember talking with Pippin about that. He got on that shortly after. And now we're doing $250 million every year. Just, well, not us personally, but all our volume just through GiveWP, and we get basis points off that. Woo Payments is the biggest play ever. They're doing billions and billions. I would almost venture to say that that's a very, very large segment of that revenue of the overall pie that they're getting over there at Automatic.
Yeah, and if I could just jump in, when you were saying, you know, that right now it's kind of an umbrella brand at Stellar. I think if we're, you know, just being honest and thinking about the work we create for clients as agencies, dude, when I look at the brand list, it doesn't feel like a shotgun blast to me. I mean, you guys got some really good ubiquitous brands, the event calendar, GiveWP, the cadence theme, which we use at WP-Tonic with our clients. It's not a happenstance, you know, shotgun shot. You guys have some really solid products in there.
Right. But you can't go somewhere and use them and expect to use them all together in one very consolidated way. Like you have to go pick and choose and buy a license for cadence, buy a license here. Like we need to solve a solution where it's all together.
You could have like a giant.
I've been very flippant here. You're going to be offering an AppSumo lifetime package deal, then, David?
No, it won't be that.
Yeah, but I'm going to be totally honest now with you, Devin. I think I understood it, but I think when you entered the company and I think that the parent company's been very fortunate in the talent that was brought in with the purchases of the plugins, because I think you and Ben are, and I've got a lot of time for Ben as well. They were very. I actually think it was a bit of a hot mess what had been done before they brought you and Ben into the field.
Mm-hmm.
In the pure business logic of it, I think it was a bit of a shit show, to be quite truthful. But I think it's going in the right direction because they've got people like you and they've got Ben, and they're like what Kirk has pointed out, that they were very fortunate that the brands that were bought in they had some really great talent, but and I still think you're struggling to find something that really clicks. But I've got no answer, because I don't think these things are that. I don't like it. Like I said at the beginning of this conversation, I just sense everybody's in the same position. They're all kind of blindfolded, moving around a room, trying to find the pot of gold in a way, to find a solution. You know, even the plugin providers, I think everybody in the they're not giving up on WordPress, because it still could have a really great future, but there are some concerns. But everybody still thinks there's possibilities as well. Would you agree with that? I seem to be waffling, and you're the guest. We should be hearing more from you, not me.
I mean, you have two sides of a lot of people don't really care what it is. They just want the solution. Like, we're talking about the insiders in the WordPress community who are, you're either really, we have a benevolent dictator of a leader, and it's these like leeching off of .org for .com, and like that's the negative side of it. Or you can be on the optimist side, which frankly I'm on, and I think there's some really good things happening. Sure, there's challenges ahead. Will we keep growing to 60%? I don't think it's a metric about how much market share we have. Noel Tuck did a great presentation at WordCamp Asia this year, in which he talked a lot about, how do we get the double S curve going? Because right now, like, we had massive growth, and either it's going to keep going down, or we're going to shift it back up and create that double S on back to growth again. And there's still a whole lot of new WordPress sites being built every day. Sure, there's more products out there, but no, I'm a big optimist out there. If you provide a great solution, you can disrupt some markets, whether it's SEO or you go super niche. If you're a smart person, you're a hard worker, you can brand right, market it right, you can make $1 million company easily. Multi-million-dollar company. There's people doing, like, look at Rapid.cloud, look at some of these new hosts that are coming out. Some really cool stuff. You guys hear my cat in the background? She's cheering me on.
We're pet friendly. I think it's time for us to go for our break. I think I've been waffling a little bit too much, beloved tribe. But there are no easy answers. There's no right and wrong in what me and Kirk and Devin have been discussing. It's not that kind of scenario. Everybody is trying to find the right solution for themselves and for their company. We're going to go for our middle break. We've got some other messages from our sponsors that we really appreciate. We'll be back in a few moments, folks.
Tired of hosting providers that can't handle high traffic loads? Conversio is here to help. Our platform can handle any amount of traffic, all without slowing down or crashing. With immediate Slack support, performance optimization, and a team that thrives on resolving technical challenges, your e-commerce business is in safe hands. Learn more about Conversio at conversio.com.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Lifter LMS, the leading learning management system solution for WordPress. If you or your client are creating any kind of online course, training-based membership website, or any type of e-learning project, Lifter LMS is the most secure, stable, well-supported solution on the market. Go to lifterlms.com and save 20% at checkout with coupon code podcast20. That's podcast20. Enjoy the rest of your show.
We're coming back. We've had an insightful discussion. Even Devin's cat joined in. So there we go. Even he or she had something to say. But before we go into the second half of the show, I want to point out, if you're looking for a great WordPress partner connected to building complicated membership or community focused websites, Why don't you have a look at what WP-Tonic has to offer? We've got some great partnership deals for you, and we've got enormous experience in building out and helping you achieve the kind of solution for your client that you're looking for. You can find all this by going over to wp-tonic.com/partners, wp-tonic.com/partners, and we'd love you to sign up. So let's go a bit further on this journey, this winding journey, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut a bit more. I think with all hosting and all plugin providers or anybody in the WordPress area, Devin, I think support and the boundaries around what you offer, if you're not on an all-embracing maintenance support contract, what the boundaries of what a hosting provider should provide when you're dealing with conflicts and nothing to do with the hosting or the plugins that you're purposely providing.
Mm-hmm.
And this, you probably had these discussions when you was the founder, the joint founder of Give WP,
So
where
much.
those boundaries were. Have you got any insights and thoughts around this? Because you've got an enormous amount of experience around all this.
Yeah. So when we first started Give WP, we were hosted on SiteGround, and
Oh my
SiteGround's,
God.
you know, it was decent. Like as far
They
as
were the
speed.
days when it was decent, wasn't it, Devin?
Well, the point is, like, we found ourselves being a lot of doing a lot of sysadmin stuff, right? We were using EDD with software licensing. We still are, and that's running on the same server. The more license checks you have over time, you need to scale the server up. We'd be DDoSing our own site because there'd be like a glitch in the code or something. Like, I remember I did that once. It was not fun, but we were talking about plugin conflicts and things like that. Like, we wanted to just focus on our business. The marketing team could use the website how they wanted it. We, as developers, wanted to build our own product, not build on propping it up. And so we decided, like, hey, let's go. The only host at that time that I knew that was reputable to not say, sorry, you have to reach out to your plugin or theme author where this is out of our hands, was Pagely. And we went from paying, I don't know, $99 a month to almost $1,500 a month. But what that got us was just so much more free time. And they would just go above and beyond any host I'd ever seen to make sure our website was as fast as it could be. We had the tools we needed. They wrote custom scripts, hundreds of lines for various things that for licensing, put these different caching layers. And that's what I think the difference is. Like, you pay more, but you get more time back and you get to do better with that time. So it was well worth every dollar. And I see a lot of that at where we're at now with Liquid Web and Stellar is like, Liquid Web was built kind of like as the most helpful humans. And they still do that. And so I don't want to pump them too much, but
Oh,
I
you're
think,
allowed to do that. We expect it. We expect you to do it, actually, Devin.
but I host my personal site on Cloudways, and even through their live chat,
How do you get away with this, Devin? Aren't you put in front of your PR people and executed? How do you get away with this?
we have a lot of freedom here. So. But that's how you get ahead of and make customers happy. I think is by making their lives easier.
Do you kind of in the organisation when you said they got this telephone number, the onboarding experience?
Right.
Are you more lenient depending on their experience and at the beginning of them buying something from you, and just to get them over the hump, and then you kind of, if they're not getting it, there has to be a point where you do have to divorce them in a way, because you end up building a whole website for them, don't you, for free, don't you? Am I on the right track here?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing these nonprofit fundraising audits to like provide if you already have a site, and we'll audit it to see how you can improve your fundraising efforts on there, and that is basically a checklist of a lot of things you can do better. We're not saying we'll do that for you, but we do have now a do it for you service. So if you do want a website built, that's what we're going to do. Is once it gets to a certain point, it's clearly you're going to want a service to provide this for you. So because there's a cost benefit analysis, like a $50 license, you get if they're spending more than an hour, there's no profit left. So it's like a 1 week check-in, 3-month check-in, I think a 9-month and a 12 months. That might not be exactly the timelines, but those are the check-ins we do. If you have those frequent flyers, they're in every single week. There's tactics to get them to quiet down and go away, or to just, understand what we offer more.
Right, over to you, Kurt.
Yeah, support is a tricky one, because I think about what we do at Lifter. Not saying LearnDash isn't great, but at Lifter we've got a list of vetted experts, and so if they get to like that boundary, right? I got no problem doing it. I get in a support ticket and I just go, you need to check out the experts list where you can hire somebody to do what you need to do, and that's a very difficult proposition, because a lot of people, sometimes it's just that it's like one little magic thing, and once they understand the concept, they can take it and run with it, but some folks just don't seem to turn the corner on their own. It's very difficult. If we change gears and we talk about the Gutenberg project, which seems to be something we talk about a lot on the show, what are your thoughts? And again, I'm thinking about how Stellar, approaches cadence and all of those things, right? So as a whole ecosystem of everything that you might be involved with, how do you feel we are doing on this 10-year project that we're 7 years through?
Well, I've changed my mind over the years about it quite a bit. I'd say the first
I think we all do. We've all oscillated back and forth, haven't we? Anybody
Yeah.
that thinks.
I mean, I definitely have fully embraced React as my development front-end JavaScript framework of choice. I really do love React. I think the way that WordPress has done things to make it less accessible for developers is a real shame. I think getting started with building on Gutenberg or contributing to it is a very confusing experience that can be improved upon. From a user standpoint, I think it has come a long way, but there's still a long way to go. I look at some user interfaces, like, say what you want about Elementor, I think it's pretty darn user friendly. Bricks is another one that I just see so much love for out there that I haven't tried myself, but I've seen some videos on it, like the building competition ones, and I'm pretty impressed by that. Grade, there's some really great page builders out there, and when you compare that to like Gutenberg and the speed at which some of them go compared to Gutenberg's like, there's like 100 people in a slow moving bus versus like 3 or 4 people in a Ferrari. And that's what frustrates me sometimes too, is seeing some of that infighting about things. And then just the way terminology is used, like block bindings. I just saw that's a new thing in version 19 that just came out yesterday or today or something. What the hell? What is a block binding? Like, you can't explain that to the general person. And there's so many of these confusing terminologies that I think can be simplified and user interface wise. So I would say I'm a fan of it. I build on it, but I use Cadence on top of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we do.
Yeah.
We've built a whole library of templates on it.
Mm-hmm.
And Kirk knows what we're going to be doing in future with it. We love Cadence.
So it just as a follow up though, and I'm going to break in. It seems like when we talk like we're talking about the block builder and or a page builder, but full site editing now has been out over a year, right? So
We don't support that with Cadence yet.
yeah. So I know Cadence is on the block builder. Have you played with full site editing though on your own?
A little bit. I've looked to rebuild my site potentially using that. I've seen the videos that Rich does in some of the full site editing themes, and there's some really interesting things you can do on it. I think it will need a couple more years before we look. Have you tried the header builder in it or some of it?
Cadence. I was never a fan of Animator, to be quite truthful. I used it because it was the best, and I really loved the people at Beaver Builder, and I still use it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Well, they've still got great business. I think they're doing fine.
No, they're good. Yeah.
But they were always some of the nicest, gracious people I ever met in WordPress. Very generous individuals.
Mm-hmm.
I was never an enormous fan because of I call it dividitis. Elementor and all the divvies. It's just a frigging mess, wasn't it? But it was the best at the time. Bricks. I think the team at Bricks, of Tom and the team at Bricks, have just done an amazing job. What I find really frustrating, and it gets my hackles up a little bit, Devin, is trying to utilise the argument, well, it's open source, what do you expect, in the absolute slowness and, in my opinion, the kind of quasi mismanagement of Gutenberg project, and utilising a smokescreen that because it's open source, that's what you're going to get. And I just think it's nonsense myself, Devin.
Well, the problem is you look at some of the GitHub pull requests or issues, and it can be something as simple as changing a pixel for a tab. There's a UI issue, it needs to be changed, or an icon or something. And there's 30 pages of just back and forth about it, and nobody's there cutting through all that and just making the decision on whether this is going to happen or not. And that's the thing with open source that I've seen is like, if you allow everybody to debate this all day, the smallest changes, it never will happen or move forward.
Well, there's nothing wrong with debate in a company. You don't want mine, but you just need a process where you just need somebody clearly at the end of a discussion period. There's going to be a decision made.
Right, you're going to debate
these. That's all you need, isn't it? It's not jet science, is it?
Exactly. But that's the thing that with WordPress, everybody has that voice, and it's a good thing in one regards, but there's not a lot of this quick, fast, nimble development happening.
I don't see it as black and white like that, but maybe you've got your own view, because I think you can have a period if it's a major thing. Obviously, for micro things, I don't see the need for a discussion. There should be people given the authority just to do the change. Right. And then you have a process that at a later stage these decisions are looked at and then discussed and learnt from. There doesn't seem to be any structure really, or it's extremely top-heavy structure. What's your own thoughts about that?
I think there is structure there, some looser structure than I would like to see. And then a couple of those insiders that do have the decision or the commit power to just change an icon or change whatever and make no debate at all. But at the same time, I think that WordPress is a large, complex project that's community driven, and it's been around for so long that you need these, I guess I want to say, like departments it needs to be ran more like a for-profit company, unless like a open source, like anybody can commit for it.
Well, I think in the decision to React, a whole new crew. I think a lot of the people that had experience with PHP and that kind of development environment, a lot of them weren't prepared or didn't have the time to learn React. And then a new group of people came through, or people like yourselves that were prepared to learn React. And I think a lot of that crew are employed directly by hosting companies or from Automatic themselves. And I think you've got the kind of smoke screen that's a community led. And so in reality, you really don't have any real community input. So you got the worst of both worlds. You've ended up. That's my own take in it. I'm going to ease off of Devin because I've got him into. Oh, the cat's returned. If you need to watch this, the cat's returned. You can always tell if you're dealing with a nice person if animals like them. I've got no animals, see, Devin. Over to you, Kurt.
Now I'm paranoid my Labradoodle's going to come up and make noise. If we ask this question every show, I don't think it's asking it too much, right? So we go to AI and we say, how do you see AI changing your business over the next 18 months? But then I also look at the list of your tools at Stellar, and how many of those tools are going to have like AI injected into them and like in the user interface. Like it seems like every new tool I'm downloading has some kind of little star icon that says, AI powered. And I'm like, oh my God, what are we doing this time? But how do you see this changing or interacting in your space?
Well, I think we've already put a lot of AI in Cadence, as you've probably seen. We definitely put some in LearnDash. We're talking about what that could be with GiveWP. And I think there's good ways to make money off of AI and really help users, but really bad ways as well. But we don't want to stuff it, like make it feel like bloated and get people like you like sick of seeing like, oh, this AI upsell. Here comes another AI upsell. And that fatigue is already getting so old, and that's the last thing we want. So it's a balance. I don't have a great solution right now for Give. Like, oh, what can we do? Can we have a AI campaign creator, and just we'll pay for the credits as long as it means that our customers can get set up faster and use our product more successfully. Sure, we'll pay for the tokens to get you AI created campaigns, and so that'll reduce the barrier for entry. You don't have to pay anything on top of that. So I want to talk more about not like AI upsells, but like how can we put AI to augment our existing solutions, not break the bank for us, but really provide that good solution to our customers, and not upsell them on it, right? Does that make sense?
Well, it does, and in a era of transparency, the first time that I was showing off at my WordPress meetup here in Hutchinson, I was like, hey, let's just build a sample website real quick. Let's use one of the starter templates in Cadence, right? So I show the group how to load up a site in Cadence, and we go to the starter templates, and all of a sudden the platform starts asking me questions, and I'm like, well, folks, this is new for me. And
no demo goes well, and
it went really well. That was the surprise. And so we were making a fake construction remodeling website as a sample. And so it said, what's the name of your company? I said, Cutting Edge Construction. And then I said, what's a short description of what you do? Boom, right? And then it went out and grabbed royalty-free images and pumped this starter site full of templated content. And all of it was construction oriented and formatted for the theme of the business that we had described to it. And it took 7 or 8 minutes in front of a group of people learning all together. And it went really, really well. I got to say, so much better than some other AI I've sampled in front of people for the first time. But like any other AI product, you can't just hit publish. You got to go through and you got to fine tooth, you got to filter that and you got to format it. And,
Mm-hmm.
and so in that vein, is there a part of you that wonders if AI, because of humans' laziness, is going to further dumb down the internet and further degrade content at an alarming rate?
Oh yeah. I mean, have you seen like some of the make.com or Zapier workflows you can do to connect your WordPress site and then use like OpenAI and pass that to Claude and mix content and just push and have a regular schedule? There's a lot of that. And even with Cadence, like if you notice some of those new AI templates that are created are more simplified. Like we couldn't get as advanced as some of the starter templates and in the design that we pushed out. And so what we're seeing is that our customers are coming back and saying like, hey, we kind of like those starter templates more. Can you stop pushing the AI so much? Because like a lot of our customers like that more like curated design, like the actual custom design. It already has the content in there. We'll go and we'll update the content using the specific AI tools that we have. So you can like click on headings and provide your own headings there. But like we can easily swap out the images. We have the image. So we're talking about, okay, like let's shift gears. Like we'll slow down a little bit on the AI. We'll start creating more of these starter templates people like. So that human touch is hard to replace. And so, yeah, I totally agree. It's going to dumb down the internet, and Google's getting better at finding that stuff. And we want to augment our marketing or whatever we do with AI. We don't want to replace actual human people in touch with that.
And sampling the different tools is like super important, right? So I know Jonathan's really big on AI and early adoption of different platforms to it.
Well, I'm actually not here. This is actually
but he at least samples things, right? And so I saw Llama from Meta and then Claude and all these different ones, and so I'm always like, well, let's try this and see what the result is.
Can I butt in again? There's a few people in Automatic would wish that was true, actually, Devin.
The fake Jonathan, we could program them to be more friendly.
I'm very friendly. They're all such nice people. I've got some great relations. Some of them actually love my humour. I think there's a few that don't, but there's quite a few that automatically love me, actually. They send little notes to me, actually, Devin.
Oh, wow. Love letters and stuff.
Yeah, little tweets of little snippets of information. You'd be amazed what I know about everybody in the WordPress space. I've got little digital where I store it all the dirt on everybody.
Got those little birds out there. You're like the Game of Thrones.
It's amazing the stuff that I'm sending. I don't publish most of it because I would end up in court forever. Sorry,
Jonathan, over to you.
Yeah. Kind of bigger question here, because the possibility AI, because you've got LearnDash. I'm going to put this because I know Kurt's going to have to go off in the next 10 minutes. So I'm going to leave this another question. I'm going to go a different way. Why do you think you're up against, with LearnDash, you're up against, obviously you've got alternatives like Lifter LMS or Tutor LMS, but your main competition really seems to be SaaS based. It seems to be either Teachable, Kajabi, Podia. There's a lot of them, but really there's about half a dozen real SaaS competitors. Why do you think people are still looking at LearnDash? They must be doing a search on Google and all these articles that the chocolate factory produces, and they're looking at, and then they look at the SaaS solutions. Why, in your own internal discussions, why then they look at LearnDash? What have you worked out in your own discussions why people still choose WordPress and choose LearnDash? And some people choose the SaaS, and then some people choose what you've got to offer. You got any insights why they're doing that? What drives them?
I mean, it's you could say the same thing about GiveWP and
Yeah,
the environments that we
that's why I'm asking you,
run up
because you've
against.
got a lot more experience. You've been a lot more successful than me.
It's hard to give you one. This is what we see every time because we have some folks leave
Yeah.
and go to a SaaS and then come back, or leave and then they're completely happy there. We do try to survey them when they leave and why are they going, and some of it is price point, right? They want to pay a low monthly fee and they don't want to pay a $300 annual license. You see that with WooCommerce, like you see a lot of the if I need the 5 critical extensions, I'm paying $1,000 a year. Well, sometimes you are, and Shopify, it's a low monthly fee. It seems like an easier sell for an end user, and a lot of them are doing that. But then once they get in there, they don't have some of the flexibility they're used to. So that's when we're seeing them come back. But why would they choose us? Well, I think it's definitely the flexibility that we provide, the ability to integrate it with your own website, like it's a natural part of what your business offers, is very compelling. Not to have to utilize a SaaS that has maybe a design system that doesn't work with what you're trying to do, or you want to do something custom, then you work with their support and it's like, yeah, you can do that through our API, and then it's way more advanced than doing it with what we can offer at LearnDash or with the events calendar. So I think it's a balance. If you're like my buddy who runs a restaurant, he tried Squarespace after WordPress, struggled with both, eventually just gave up and paid a company to handle it for $300 a month, right? Because that's not what he did, not what he does. And they put him back on WordPress. So he went back and forth in this journey. So it's interesting. But I don't have a one, this is,
No. I've noticed with the competition, the SaaS competition, Kajabi produced it a lower starter price, around $70. Podio. Well, what's interesting is what was a little bit disappointing with Podio is they've gone the real cheap end of the market, and they're taking commission on top. They've gone that route, and some of the other players went that route, and I noticed that they've removed that and they've gone to a single monthly or yearly payment structure. So there seems to be a lot of oscillation even in the SaaS world around pricing and what they're offering. Would you agree with that? They're in flux as well.
Oh, for sure. Everybody's looking at each other's pricing pages, trying to undercut it, do it differently. They're looking at WordPress, they're looking at all their competition. I completely agree with that.
Right, over to you again, Kurt.
Well, I guess I'll ask the last question then, and then I'll disappear. If you had your own time machine, H.G. Wells, Doctor Who kind of thing, if you could go back in time and just give yourself, one stellar piece of advice, what would that be?
Don't come on this podcast.
That's to me first there. I want to hear Jonathan's, but what would I do? I can't go back to the focus thing because I beat that up so much, but that's definitely what I would do. But besides that, I would say,
would you have gone into the WordPress world, or would you have gone in the more bootstrap SaaS world? Are you still happy that you went down the
I'm
WordPress
absolutely
route?
happy. I don't know that other route. I do, like you were talking, I do have a couple more swings left in me, and I'd like to take like more SaaS type of entrepreneur journey in the next 5 to 10 years. There's going to be always time to innovate or create, and I'd love to do that. But I would definitely not trade what the last 10 years were for an unknown. I think that could have largely ended with a lot of failure. I see a lot of that happen with just trying to go after a generalized solution. What I would have done differently is I probably would have gotten into payments a lot earlier than I did and try to do more with that rather than 2017. I think we could have been doing a whole lot more if we got in 2013, 2012. And that's kind of what I would, besides focus, you already heard me say that a million times, get into payments earlier.
Do you think I'm unfair in saying this a little bit? But what I don't understand, and you've got a bit of experience here, is automatics, what they've done with WooCommerce, because I really see they could have they still can do it. Take WooCommerce really on WordPress.org and really jazz it up and really work on it so it could really take on Shopify in a big way. And you still have the benefit of, if you wanted your own, you've got WordPress.org and WooCommerce that you could host if you really wanted that, and you really got WordPress.org. Do you think they really, I don't understand, because that just seems, I'm not the sharpest tool, but I'm not the bluntest. It just seems an enormous opportunity that they're just leaving it on the table.
Yeah, I see some of that happening right now with just some of the newsletters. Like they're simplifying the product creation process. They're sort of changing simple products and variations, making it like a much more one-time Shopify-like experience. Whether that's going to be all contained in a SaaS that looks beautiful, like you were talking about, they could do that with WordPress.com. That's something that I think they tried with WordPress with Calypso, and now you see them going back to the way WordPress looks on WordPress.com. So they're actually going the opposite way, is what I've seen. Now, I don't work for Automatic. I have friends there, but I just get the newsletters and I stay in touch. So I'd be surprised if I saw that, but with WooCommerce specifically, I think it would be a good move, because some of those interfaces are a bit painful to work and look at.
Well, do you think, I think they could, if they were prepared to do it and do the work, it's easy for me to say, but I think there's a demand that, because like you said with your observation about Shopify, if you're doing a basic setup, it's fine. And you could apply the same things with your SaaS competitors against LearnDash. It's simple until you want to change things. And yes, there's add-ons and API, but it gets a lot more complicated than even WordPress really quick, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. You know it.
Have you got a little bit more time? Because there's one big question I want to ask you before you disappear.
Got 5 more minutes. Let's keep going.
I see enormous opportunities in learning online because you've got LearnDash. I thought utilising AI, because this is a broader question. I got into the internet because I have dyslexia, and I got into computers and development because I found development easier than writing the English language. And I think we all thought that if information was like Wikipedia, if on your phone, on the front of your computer, you can search something and study it, and all the information is out there, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's just there. And I thought it was going to really equalise society much more. Because, there are people that genetically are very, very bright, but when you actually look at the figures, most of us are around the same IQ level, to a level where it doesn't make an enormous difference. The genetic, it's more society and self-motivation that are more critical, and luck. But things haven't really panned out. I don't want to get too political because there's different arguments on why that's happened. But that hasn't actually opportunity and educational achievement in some areas seems to be going backwards, not going forwards. I really see AI in the learning space in being able to customize, because I obviously I did research in the philosophy and the science behind learning, and I've been amazed at even now how little we understand the learning process and the amount of quasar science in that field. What's your own views? Because I think it could. This is one of the biggest areas that AI offers. Because you got Learn Dash, and would you agree with what I've just outlined?
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I think with LearnDash specifically, it's a little bit of a different question of what we can do with AI there. But for AI in general and how I see that affecting wider society, I think it's interesting that we're talking about what makes the difference between somebody succeeding with AI or whatever with business if we're all around the same
Well, put
IQ.
it this way: I sense that you might have slightly different political views than me, but I think you want opportunity for as many people as possible, and that's what I want, as much
Right,
opportunity.
right.
And I just sense that opportunity is decreasing for a lot of people.
Potentially, but AI is not going to replace the, the architect or the worker that's building, a fence out front, right? Like it's going to be replacing more of automating different systems, of course, and factory work and developers have always been a target, but this is still early days, right? So I think there's a lot that needs to get figured out for first before I can make a real informed decision on it. I know we're not replacing anybody because of AI.
I
We're
mean, more, would you agree with the studies I've done that most people have kind of roughly the same IQ levels? It's more, it's a mixture of family, society, and personal drive. But
yeah.
I had thought with all this access to information, knowledge, in the past 20 years, we now have access to, if you want to study something, you can
Hmm.
take a whole course on computer science if you want to do it, and
Yeah,
it's all
that's
free and it's online. There's no
right.
lack of information out there,
Yeah,
but it
but if you were
hasn't
raised
really.
in a
But
if you were raised in a family or a home that didn't value that and didn't drive that, or you were not giving those opportunities and that wasn't instilled upon you, you're likely not going to be the person that's going and seeking that out, right? They're not going to be asking AI curious questions or going down to the community college and taking that free political science course or whatever it is, because it's just not something that it's a complex social economic type of question that I don't know I have enough time to get into right now, but I think we're somewhat aligned in a lot of our thoughts on
well,
that.
I think I'm very difficult to pin down because some people think I'm a right wing Genghis Khan type. Other people think I'm a total communist socialist. I'm not. I'm
More so-
neither. I'm neither. I oscillate like most intelligent people do,
yeah,
don't they? Because there isn't one
I,
pure solution. It's all grey, basically,
yeah.
isn't it?
I'm not going to put you in a box. I hope people wouldn't put me in a box
No.
either. So I think that's what it is. There's ideas I agree about on all sides of the spectrum.
But it is interesting. Would you agree that I got into it because I was interested in it and it helped with my dyslexia? But I also, on the bigger picture, I really thought having all this access to information was going to fundamentally make an enormous change. And in some ways it has, hasn't it? But in some ways it hasn't. And I still think we haven't really found the real reasons for that, have we? I think it's a bit like WordPress, isn't it? We're all trying to find that solution, aren't we?
Well, it took a while for things to get going, and I think we're still going to get going on it. and Apple's going to be coming out with a whole revamped OS with it sprinkled all around. See how that changes things. Like we'll see. Like this is early days, Jonathan. We got to wait some time here. Remember when the internet first came out? It was
Yeah.
What's this internet thing again? It's a World Wide Web. It's like
It's
takes a while.
amazing. It is amazing how it developed when it. Well, I hope you enjoyed him. I don't think you could get an interview like this from anywhere else, could you, David? Thank God.
I think it's just a good conversation that we're having amongst other friends too. So yeah, this is fun. I like it.
Right. You might come back for another interrogation tribe. We've got some great guests coming on in the rest of August. Got our roundtable show. Plus, we've got some amazing guests that agreed to come in September. If you want to support the show, please tell other people about it and leave us a review on iTunes. I haven't had any reviews lately, good, bad, or indifferent. I love the feedback. We'll see you next week with another great interview or our monthly roundtable show. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.